Hi, it's Ash Beck. Welcome to BuzzPop. I'm here today with Jacob Cohan. Thanks for joining us.
Hey guys, my name is Jacob Cohan. I'm a musician, inventor, fashion designer, artist. The actual fires, when those started on the first day, I grabbed my friend and we went down to Palisades and we brought food to make sandwiches for the firemen. So over the week, we made probably about 1,000 sandwiches and sent them up to the front line, the firemen fighting the fires up in the hills, as well as the guys down on the command base. And doing that, I was kind of looking for something to do to continue to help. And then that's when my friend reached out about the Pacific Design Center and fire relief for all those fire victims. We just came out of working in fire relief at the Pacific Design Center for the people that lost their homes in Palisades and the Eaton fires. My friend, she works for an interior designer who was able to reach out to some of his clients and get semi-trucks full of furniture donated. So we set up shop at the Pacific Design Center and had families come through to pick up 14 items, 10 items, depending on whatever it was. And that was pretty much all the household items, furniture, bathroom items, kitchen items, to help them get a little, life and dignity back. So basically we finished up that job and it's evolving into Rebuild LA, which they'll start building the housing and supplying materials and the workers to do all the construction and everything. So that's kind of the next phase of something that we'll be getting into. My thing is basically just being of service however I can and volunteering as much as I can to help, friends, family, community. The fires, there is a lot of work to do and a long way to go. It's probably going to take about 10 years to get everything close to back to how it was. So, in the meantime, I just am trying to do anything I can to be involved with that and help out and give back to, I love California. I love Palisades. I love the beach. And it's just really important to me to really try to do what I can to be there to help in any kind of way I can. So yeah, I grew up in California, pretty much California beach kid, surfing, boogie boarding, skateboarding. Started in Venice very young, working my way to Santa Monica, to Malibu, to Zuma. I had family in Redondo and Hermosa, so I was always tied to that area. California is just a very creative, artistic place, a very good, strong community, the beach community. Everybody knows each other, a lot of artists. I have a clothing line that I've been developing since 2017. It's all pretty dressy and formal casual, day casual, night casual, day formal, night formal. Maybe a little more along the lines of English classic elegance, dressy. A lot of neckwear, accessories, hats, vests, jackets, shirts. Everything that you need to look good and feel good. Basically, the clothes are what superheroes would wear when they're not at work. I basically have been in bands and playing music most of my life, and fashion is a big part of that. Looking good, being dressed good on stage. I pretty much had to start making clothes for myself just to have really cool stuff to wear. A lot of stuff in stores is kind of hit or miss, so I took it upon myself to basically create my own clothing line of really cool stuff to wear on stage and to style, people for other things as well. The English style, we were shooting English Laundry. They're a really big clothing label that was sold off. But my friend who had it, we were shooting his line for his website at the time in his warehouse downtown. And we had shot maybe for a year or two all of the things that he had, and it was really inspiring to me, just the elegance of the English style of dress. a lot of, like I said earlier, a lot of neckwear and hats and accessories and, you know, French cuffs and cufflinks and ties and vests. And so that really appealed to me, and I wanted to kind of keep that really dressy elegance, but also incorporate it into rock and roll, like gritty rock and roll. So that's kind of how I was able to add my twist to the whole side of the dressy type of clothing. And obviously, trial and error, I was able to kind of refine the style of things that I make. Developing the vests basically kind of set me on the path for the pants and everything else that I started to make after that. Jackets, you know, there's also accessories with like tons of bags and purses and duffel bags and travel bags and, you know, the neckwear, the hats, everything. So it kind of was well-rounded and encompassing kind of every aspect of the dressiness kind of side of the clothing line. I used all the different types of materials. However, a lot of the prototypes I've made were with denim, and I would make things with the denim just to see how it would sew together for normal materials and get an idea of, you know, where I was going with it. But it's also all the other types of fabrics. It's not just denim. So I was in Flight Academy, and I kind of was incorporating aerodynamic flight principles into my clothing designs. So my pants, they have the side panels as aerodynamic kind of flight principle. The dress shirts have the same vector on the side of the arm, on the shoulder going down the arm. And so that kind of sent me into the direction that I was going with my clothes, incorporating the flight principles as well as the kind of uniform cadet aspect of the clothing. And then one of, say for instance, the dress shirts, they have built-in vest panels, which are just dressy as can be. So you can have your vest buttoned up and the shirt open, or you can button the shirt and have some nice neckwear with that. The dress shirts have French cuffs, so you need cufflinks with them. The pants, they've got the side panels, and you know, there are variations of that. The pants have a side panel down the side. There's an evolution of that where it comes down the side and wraps around the front of the leg and comes down the front over the top of the foot, keeping some of that classic antiquity style in there. And then, you know, the jackets are pretty cool, kind of motorcycle type jackets. A lot of straps on the sleeves and, you know, pockets, and same thing with the vest inside. One version has a vest outside. So there are variables, you know, it's all stuff I'm kind of working on and figuring out still, but it's pretty solid. When it comes to, you know, shows, gone to a lot of shows in my life, and I found posters are probably my favorite thing to get. Obviously t-shirts and patches and merch and everything like that, but I think really the posters have always been my thing. Having them framed is really the most important part. So I've collected, you know, probably 1,000 posters, most of them unframed, rolled up in my room. So I still have a lot of work to do. But yeah, the music memorabilia, posters, images, it's all pretty important to me and inspiring. I've, you know, been fortunate to have grown up around a lot of really cool bands and you know, family members or friends being part of those bands. And you know, my cousin, when I was younger, she had a hair salon called Backstage down by Redondo Beach, and she was basically cutting all the people that would play at the Forum. They'd come through to town and go to her for their hair. And so we would hang out at the Forum pretty regularly, Forum Club, and that kind of started the whole thing, being backstage and hanging out with those guys. And then eventually working with bands, doing production running and on tours. And I actually got involved with building stages and doing lighting and sound for all the big Coliseum shows in LA or stadium shows in LA, big acts obviously. And I grew up playing music, but I was really into just playing for myself. I didn't really want to be in bands. And by the time I was older and I was building the stages for these events, I kind of, started having realizations being on stage with these shows, and that I was the one that should be on the stage playing. Jimi Hendrix was a very big influence on me, and probably the reason I started playing guitar very young. And then I got into Jimmy Page from Zeppelin and Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath. And I kind of followed the progression of music as it got heavier. In the early 80s, MTV came out, and that's pretty much all I needed right there. I would just watch that and play guitar in my room all day, any chance I had after school or all night. And then as the progression of music started changing, Metallica, Motorhead, Slayer, those bands started coming out, and I was gravitating toward that kind of music. And once, there was new wave with synthesizers, but once the industrial stuff started coming out, like Ministry and Nine Inch Nails and Manson and those guys, that was kind of my thing that I really enjoyed and wanted to play. So that was kind of the influence on where I am and what I got into in music-wise. I should also say Public Enemy was a very big part of that as well. So that's the hip-hop side of what we do. So pretty much just following the progression of music as it got heavier, more industrial, samples, loops, synthesizers, that was kind of where I wanted to go. And, that was my place of happiness. The kind of clothing and dress and style that goes with that kind of music and vibe, and the action on stage and what you're doing, it was all, kind of conducive to what I was doing. I was a big fan of the styles and the looks and all the garb and everything, but also I had a compelling need to create clothing that was also cool, rock and roll, but dressy at the same time. I love dressing up and wearing nice clothes, looking good, feeling good. Give me any opportunity and I'll suit up. I love dressing up and wearing nice clothes, looking good, feeling good. Obviously, on stage, you want to have some cool duds, cool rock and roll stuff. So I took it upon myself to basically create my own clothing line of really cool stuff to wear on stage and to style, people for other things as well.
Headed west to live out all my dreams.
Thanks for joining us. This is Ash Beck signing off for BuzzPop with Jacob Cohan, fashion designer, musician, inventor, and volunteer.